Hi, my name is James Knight. I can't wait for you to meet one of my accredited IMA practitioners and hear his story as to how IMA has helped make his life easier, happier, and more productive.
Hi, my name is Hitchen and I run a bus and coach hire called Bellevue, Manchester. We operate 70 vehicles across the UK and Europe. We're an award-winning business that's quality branded, and right now we're launching our brand new fleet of Mercedes-Benz vehicles to businesses across the North West. Our goal is to create a transport system by road that is safer, cleaner and greener. Last year we turned over £4 million. Back in 2011 we turned over just £1 million. You would think that by turning over an extra £3 million a year I'd be working a lot harder, but in actual fact I've just been working a lot smarter.
Phil, that's fantastic. You went from 1 million to 4 million. That's a 400% increase in business without working harder, just smarter. Now that I've got you on the line, I know everybody is going to want to know exactly how you did it.
In March 2011, had the pleasure of meeting you, James. Now, at the time, I was looking for something that would really give us a focus on giving a #1 service in the United Kingdom. So we bought a tracking system for the vehicles, which show us how the drivers accelerate, how they brake, how they corner. And by manipulating the mindset, we could control how they perform with the driving so that the customers had a very, very smooth ride. We had extraordinary results with that, James. We saved £70,000 a year on fuel. We had less accidents. We had smoother rides. So if you was going through a set of traffic lights, you would see the lights change. You would take your foot off the accelerator. The vehicle would go down the gears. You'd see the lights change back to green and you'd build back up and the customer would just get a nice, smooth ride. You know, before that, maybe the accelerator was on the floor to the lights. Everybody would go like
Yes.
They would sit there bored, 10 minutes, then the accelerator would go down and everyone would go back in the seats. By changing the mentality of our driver team, James, we got this smooth ride. And that got me thinking, how can we unzip our team's head and give them a philosophy like the tracking system did for the driving? And I met you, James, and in 30 seconds flat, I thought, you know, iMAgineering is so simple, it's so unique. This is the app, if you like. This is the tool we can use quite simply. We don't need a degree in physiology. We don't need a degree in psychology. We just need iMAgineering. I started playing around with iMAgineering, and after 4 or 5 months, unfortunately, I took ill. It was a bit of a surprise to my family and friends and colleagues. I was a very healthy guy. I took ill. I was in hospital for about 3 months. And, you know, I was with the iMAgineering website and I had about 15 nurses looking after me throughout any 1 week period. And I thought, you know what, I researched your website, I read it backwards, I knew more about you, James, than you probably knew about yourself. And I just thought, who is this guy, James Knight, who's invented this system? I can get value from relationships. And I played around with it, the nurses, James, and I've got to say, you know, spending 3 months in hospital, in and out, having chemotherapy to cure cancer is not probably the most exciting thing to talk about and on people's wish list. But I've got to say, from a personal point of view, James, my treatment was, to me, it was like a 5-star stay in a hotel. I was in a private ward. I didn't feel or act what you would normally think a patient would be going through chemotherapy. Not only that, I employed some new people in the business to look after my duties, and I really started playing around with iMAgineering. 2012, I did some training with yourself, and basically, you know, we had this philosophy of assessing people, looking whether there was open or closed, looking whether it was assertive or non-assertive, and that identified the 4 colours to us. For example, I'm a high yellow. When I'm dealing with a high green, which is the opposite of a high yellow, as you know, I would just change my physiology and communication style. I'm rambling on now at 100 miles an hour, but I would talk very slow. And sometimes when I had conversations with high green, James, I was having a conversation with myself because I'd asked them a question. They worked at a slower pace, and in my head, I was counting 1, 2, and on 6 or 7, sometimes my brain was saying to my subconscious mind, ask the high green another question, and my brain would say, subconscious mind, just hold on, they're just a bit slower than you. And then they would answer, and I'd say, see, I told you they're slower than you, just be patient. And I've got to say, in 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, our business it doubled revenues in 6 to 12 months in 2012. It doubled revenues again to 4 million in 2014. We consolidated that over the last year and a half, and we're just set to go for another expansion over the next couple of years. So we had other things, we had quality policies, we had all sorts of training within the industry. But in terms of a people culture, I have Stu Leonard and I have James Knight. And what I like about both of those philosophies, especially with the iMA, is it's so simple to use, James. There's all sorts of personality testing out there, as you're aware of. With iMA, it's 10 simple questions. For me, it's just 2. Are people open or closed? Are they assertive, non-assertive? If you identify the 4 unique colours, just on identifying the colours within your team, you can make sure you've got the square pegs in the square holes. We have some really great dynamic high reds within the business. We have some really, really supporting high blues. We have some really enthusiastic high yellows. And we have some really focused high greens who problem solve and make systems and processes work. And I've got to say, there's a few things that excite me in life. When my football team score a goal, I see my daughter advance her learning. But when you see communication within your team that results in good customer service, it's extraordinary.
Phil, you became an iMA practitioner in 2012. What are some of the various ways that you are using it within your business?
So in 2017, we're May 2017 now. The first thing we do is we put the iMA questionnaire on our application form. So anybody wanting to join the business, we've had a lot of people join the team. 5 years ago, we maybe had 30 people in our team. Now we have close to 100, and it's expanding all the time. As we get new contracts and services, we need more staff. That's more staff in our garages to maintain the fleet. It's more staff in the offices to handle the contracts, and there's more drivers out on the road. And so anyone filling in an application form, they answer the 10 questions. When we do the interview, at the end of the interview, we talk about their personality profile. We then have an induction training, anything from 1 day to 4 days, depending on the knowledge and experience of the prospect. And we go through their iMA profiles. We go through a 4-hour training course on all 4 profiles, and they get an iMA badge so they can be identified. They have within our drivers room, they have their own trays where the work tickets go in, so they're all identified by their colour. Our staff wear badges. Not everybody wears the badges, I've got to admit, but I've got to say 30-40% wear them consistently day in, day out. People forget, or they leave them on the dashboard of the coach or something. Yeah. But I think that's because people recognise the colour style of their co-colleagues now. In the early days, they'd look at John Smith and think, is he a high red or high yellow? They've got used to seeing his behaviour now, so they identify that without.
Yeah, they know he's a high yellow or a high red or whatever color.
I think for us, the changing point for me was in 2011, before I went in hospital. I took about 40 of our guys off the road over 2 days. I had 2 groups of 20. I put them in a hotel, and we did some customer service training. I told them that I was going in hospital. There's going to be some really significant changes to the business. And we did some iMA training. Now, that training was only information I've got from your presentation, James, and from your website. And I went through all the colour styles, people being assertive and non-assertive. And after 3 or 4 hours, we did a 4-hour workshop. People took the questionnaire. I was scratching my head at the end of the session thinking, I hope this has landed. I hope we get some use out of this. And we can see some significance of the afternoon we spent training for 2 days. And at the end, there was two markers that made me realise, James, that it landed beautifully. The first marker was At the end of the session, there was 5 of our coach drivers sitting around the table, and they was all looking at each other, and I could see the cogs going round. And I had a coach driver called Jeff turn around to a coach driver called Alan, who was one of our elder drivers and not the most enthusiastic. And he said, "You know, Alan," he said, "you're not such a bad soul, are you? You're just different than me." And I realised there and then that the drivers had got it. Secondly, we organised a Christmas party for our team. We had a dinner and a dance in the December. And when I did the IMA training, I never told any of my management team. I only took the drivers off and did a guinea pig test with them to see if it would have any effect within the business. Because sometimes when you know, high yellows are ideas people, as you know, and you know, we have a lot of high reds on our management team, and high reds, they're great project managers, but sometimes they can dismiss an idea before it has a chance to fly. So what I did, I took our driver team, told the management team what I was doing, but never mentioned the IMA. So I went off in hospital. I didn't go into the office for 3 months other than the odd visit. I worked from home, I worked from hospital. And at the Christmas party, my business partner Ian said to me, "Phil, what was that training you did back in August and September with the guys before you went in hospital?" I said, "You know, I did customer service, I did the changes in the business, the restructure, how we're going to do things moving forward, talked about the recession, selling on value, providing an exemplary service that's way above the industry standard where people want to come flocking back." He said, "All right, that's exciting." He said, "But what was the thing with the colours? You did something with colours." I said, "Oh, I did some people training." I told him a little bit about IMA. I said, "Why are you asking me?" He said, "You know, Phil, considering we've had a large expansion of staff and we've got a busy transport organisation, we're carrying, you know, 900, 1,000,000 passengers a year, I've not had any headaches. Normally we have drivers off sick. We've had very, very low absenteeism. Normally have drivers throwing work back and, you know, problem and cat fighting about who's got the favourite tours. You've got drivers working locally, you've got drivers going on a romantic coach tour around Europe and wondering why he's not doing that." Well, he said, "I've not had a peep out of anyone." He said, there's something wrong. I said, "I don't think there's anything wrong here, I think there's something terribly right." And that's then when I got the management team around the table, and on a one-on-one basis, I introduced IMA and I introduced their colour style and dealing with other colour styles with some of the team building tools you gave me, James. And we started to crank some energy up in 2012, 13, and then things started to happen for us, really. There's 2 things I'd like to leave on, James. I think in terms of IMA and our team building, you know, when you see a Formula One car driver, you know, shake the champagne after winning a race, people just see the driver. And I think when people look at Bellevue, people just see Phil Hitchen. But we use a shot of a Formula One car and a Mercedes-Benz coach we have. We have a fleet of Mercedes-Benz coaches. And we use that picture of the Formula One car and our coach together because we visited the Mercedes-Benz Petronas plant 3 years ago when we invested a couple of £1 million in Mercedes coaches. And what was fascinating about that plant was when you see the racing car go in the pits and, you know, there's a senior engineer there with a headpiece on, he's got 13 engineers and, you know, in 10 seconds they fix the car and off it goes again. When people see the driver shaking that champagne, they just see the driver. Back in England, in the UK, the guy with the microphone on in the pit has got 42 engineers in the screens telling him problems with the car and things that need adjusting. And that told me teamwork makes the dream work. If you want to cross the finishing line as a Formula One car, you need a great team. And what IMA's done for us is helped me and my business partner Ian recognise the talent within our team. You know, we've developed some really, really good people. And Adam Bradshaw, who runs our sales, Donna Thompson, who runs our policies, Debbie Langham, who manages all our accounts. You know, we have hundreds of accounts around the UK and Europe. She manages those. We have Ian Olsen, who runs our transport, Kenny Walsh, who runs our garage. And there's, you know, 100 people in our organisation at some level or stage of the business contribute to that racing car driver spread across the line. I think moving forward, I think our team's goal really is to expand across the United Kingdom, working with other fleets and taking our service. We're a specialist multi-vehicle event carrier, so if there's any large events with thousands of passengers, our IMA skills, connecting with other suppliers and our clients, are bringing thousands of people to be transported from A to B. And you don't get a lot of coach operators doing that. They just normally do work with their own fleets. What IMA's been able to do to us is build a team that can carry that forward. And that's what we're looking to do in the next 2 years, James.
Thank you very much, Bill. If you were looking for a way to stand out, something to give you a competitive edge, a way to win, then ask me about becoming an accredited IMA practitioner. Chances are you'll be glad you did.